So there we go.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Mhm.
Saudis have a nothing will stop us or get in our way,
Mhm.
and we will succeed.
All right.
This is something that I saw within the people.
Hello and welcome to the Mayman Show. We are coming to you from our studios in Riyadh, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And our guest today is a Saudi-looking fella from Nottingham, Mr. John bin London. Thank you for being part of the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So before we start the interview, John, tell me how a guy from Nottingham is dressed in Saudi attire and speaks Arabic almost better than I do.
Yeah, I know it's something which is quite unusual. So yeah, even though I call myself John bin London, but as you mentioned, I'm actually originally from Nottingham, which is famous for Robin Hood. So
That's my favorite version, so I have to say it.
So how this came about, a bit of a long story. So as a child, I lived for the first 8 years of my life in Abu Dhabi. My father was a director of one of the big four. That's what kind of brought us there. Now, so I spent the first 8 years of my life there. Now, while I was there, one of my mum's best friends was married to a local Emirati guy, and we would most days go off into the desert, go to the stables there. I'd play with their kids, little Bedouin Emirati kids. That was just my life. That was what I was used to. At the age of 8 years old, I moved back to the UK. I say I moved back to the UK, but I'd never lived in the UK before.
Right.
I'd only ever been there on holiday.
Okay. So you're born and raised in.
So I was actually born in Nottingham. My mother flew back and gave birth to my brother and I in Nottingham. Twins.
Yeah.
And I'm the handsome twin.
All right.
We always used
If
to
you
argue.
say so.
Yeah, we always used to argue. So I'd always call my brother. I'd be like, "You're ugly," and he'd be like, "You're ugly." And Mum would be like, "You guys look the same. You're twins."
Okay.
Born in Nottingham, raised in the UAE for the first 8 years. I loved the UK though. We used to come on holiday, and I thought England was amazing. And I used to feel that like I'm the most English thing ever.
Okay.
But then when I came to the UK, it was a bit of a strange feeling. Even though it's my country, I'm super proud of that. I almost felt like a stranger in my own country.
Okay.
It was a bit weird. I was used to Abu Dhabi. I was used to the UAE. There are a lot of things there I really liked and I felt comfortable with. And I think when like we first came, to be honest, we found it a little bit hard. I remember like coming to the UK and not really like. Of course, I spoke English, but I didn't learn Arabic in the UAE. But just feeling like a little bit of an outsider, not knowing that much about the culture and this. And I remember saying to my mum one day, I'm like, why didn't you teach us about English culture? And mum was like, didn't think I needed to.
Right.
I'm English. I thought you guys would just automatically know.
She thought you'd like just automatically pick it up.
Yeah. So I think it's just something you don't think about, because if you're from that country, then your kids are too, and you just think that they'll know. So I think when I first came, I did find it a little bit difficult, but there are loads of amazing things in the UK and amazing people. Like one thing which is fantastic about the UK is just how accepting a lot of people are and interested in other cultures and this and that. So they'd ask about the UAE, and
London's a melting pot of culture.
Absolutely. So, but there was always this kind of inside of me, great love for Arabia, great love for the Bedouins, and great love for like the desert.
Yeah,
it was, I guess, where I had my nostalgic memories.
Okay.
So I always had this drive, and wanting to go back and part of immersing with the culture and loving the culture. It's the language. I guess it's the most important part.
Okay.
I wanted to learn Arabic. I used to say to my dad, I want to learn. Are there any Arabic schools here? He always used to say to me, John, you don't need the language. It's like I ran a really big company over there, and I don't know a word of Arabic.
Okay.
Which my response was, it's not because I feel I need to learn. It's I want to learn.
You want to.
Like my parents are fantastic. Yeah. They're hugely supportive. In my mid-teens, I converted to Islam. I'm the only Muslim in my family.
Okay.
But again, like hugely supportive. My mum bought me a prayer mat. The first Quran I ever owned. It was my dad who bought it. We'd gone back to the UAE on holiday once, and
so they're very accepting.
Yeah.
Decision. It wasn't really like drama or anything.
No, not at all. Like all my life, my parents have been hugely supportive of me. They've even the fact of moving to Saudi Arabia. My parents know this is where I want to be.
Okay.
They supported me so much, to come here, to make that move, the decisions I make, even when it comes to getting married, I got married. They'd never met my wife before.
All right.
They know that they understand the culture and traditions here and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like amazingly supportive. So I can't thank them enough for everything that they've done. But with that love and kind of desire to want to go back, made me want to learn.
Okay.
Made me want to learn the language. Now, I moved to London. As you know, in London, there are a lot of Arabs, a lot of people coming from the Gulf, coming from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I worked for about 4 years in Harrods.
Yeah.
Now,
How was your summer?
busy, very busy. Now it's all year round. Now that
Yeah.
they've opened up the visa,
Okay.
it's literally all year round. But to be honest, though, summer time was my favorite time. One, because of the weather,
All right.
and then because you just had so many people from the Gulf coming, and as you know, they're so friendly. I'd go to work and just try and make as many friends as possible. So you'd have like customers coming in. Soon as I saw like Saudi face,
Yeah.
I'd try and speak in Arabic. I'm like, Salam alaikum, yallah hayyuhum to qahwa.
Yeah.
So, say salam alaikum and
Did they give
see
you
if
like a look like, like shocked,
yeah,
like,
they'd be a bit like,
what's going on here?
yeah, a little bit kind of shocked, especially if they heard me speaking English first.
Yeah.
And then, so I try to speak with people. I try to converse, and you know what Saudis are like.
Mhm.
Like, start a conversation with them, and that's in there. They remember you, and they come back, and
Yeah.
you see them outside and grab a coffee.
Yeah. You're the Saudi speaking fella.
Yeah. So, but
Bin
also,
London, and that's how Bin London was born.
yeah. Well, exactly. So but it's one of those things like they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like even though you make mistakes or whatever, they see that you have passion, and they appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think they appreciate people who appreciate them.
Okay.
And I'd always have a million questions, and we'd go and we'd hang out, and that's what started it off. It got my language to a level that I could put basic sentences together.
Okay.
Going back to Nottingham, there are loads of Saudi scholarship students. Now, if you meet one, you meet them all. I met some of the most amazing people who are, like, I don't consider them to be like just my friends. I consider them to be, they're like my brothers.
Okay.
And then I just hung around with them every day. They used to set up like a majlis in their homes and apartments, and they have like dinners. They invite me, so I would spend almost every day with 20, 30 Saudis.
Yeah.
And because of that constant being around them and kind of immersion, that's what helped me really to learn the language, because they're speaking Arabic together.
Okay.
So I try to understand by the context.
Mhm.
And then and I guess it just evolved from there.
So when you were learning and you heard everybody speak, I'm sure you heard different dialects, and you're
Yes.
pretty proficient in the Najdi,
Yeah.
northern
Yeah.
traditional dialect.
So
That's what I was gonna say. Is how did you basically pick up these different dialects together, and how did you learn your dialect?
So this was by being so, for example, in the UK, at first, I came across a lot from like the Anizi tribe and Shammar,
Yeah.
who are mainly from the north. So I started picking up on, say, vocabulary or pronunciation from their dialects. It was, I guess, an unconscious thing. It was just who you hear around you, how they speak, you start copying it. And then later on, a lot of my friends were from the Atabi tribe, which it spreads from Taif in the Hijaz into Najd.
Yeah.
So even now, like my accent, when I speak in Arabic, there's definitely a very heavy Atabi, Najdi Bedouin influence, and then with kind of some northern influences within there too.
Okay.
But it was being surrounded by those people. Like, it got to a point where my accent became so thick with a lot of the kind of Bedouin terminology
Yeah.
Sometimes when I speak to people who are, say, maybe more from the city,
They wouldn't get what
yeah,
you're
they
saying.
would, they wouldn't get some of the stuff that I was saying. But that's something which is great about the scholarship program,
Okay.
the Saudi scholarship program, is that you actually meet people from all over the kingdom. So this kind of helped me to maybe bring it down a level and start understanding,
Fine tune.
yeah,
How
more
you converse and interact.
exactly, and more dialects.
Yeah.
You know, I have like a group of friends. They're from Jizan.
Yeah.
I have friends from Jeddah. I have friends from Tabuk, from Hayel, from Arar, Sikaka, Dawadimi, Afif, Abha, Najran. I have friends from like the eastern province. So from literally every area, which it's fantastic. You learn about the differences in culture and accents, and when someone speaks, okay, you're from here, you're from there, maybe you're from this tribe or from that tribe. It's great, especially from someone who's like a bit of a culture vulture and
Okay.
and loves those kind of small details.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, aside from learning the language, you post a lot of content online about about the kingdom and Saudi, where 90% of the population mistakes you for a Saudi.
Yes.
And you said that Saudi is the future.
Yeah.
So what makes you so optimistic about the country's advancements and this shift and how it will shape the kingdom on a global stage or as a player in the global stage?
Okay. So, firstly, I think it's the creativity and ambition, and kind of nothing will stop us from the people.
All right.
Now, I remember I'm a big fan of Telfaz Hadashar,
Yep.
Khambala, Khalat, and all this stuff. Now, pretty much from when these guys first started, there were no cinemas in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, I know them pretty well. Their senior producer was a guest on the show.
Oh, okay.
Ibrahim Al-Khairallah,
Yeah,
college friend as well.
these guys for me are absolute legends. Like, I come across a lot of famous people, but these guys, like, I will fanboy out a little bit. Now they're,
You're
they're
Tifaz Mark.
they're honestly like, and I remember I wrote to them on Twitter once, and I'm like, do you guys ever imagine that when you were making those films when they were teenagers, that there was an English guy in the middle of Britain watching and learning Arabic from those videos and learning about the culture and falling in love with the country. Now,
Okay.
I saw those guys. They started in Saudi cinema before there were cinemas in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Just think about like the mentality that takes. That like, and they were amazing. Like when you see the stuff they were doing on YouTube and they were producing, like it was on an international level from just young lads together making these films, making these kind of TV shows on YouTube, and just going for it. When you kind of look at that kind of thing of like, even though this doesn't exist, we're going to go out and we're going to do it. And they were amazing at it.
They will come.
Yeah.
By the way, that's like the general consensus of any guest I've had that talks about any sector they're in here.
It is. Well, so there we go. That's my point.
Mhm.
Saudis have nothing will stop us or get in our way, and we will succeed.
All right.
This is something that I saw within the people, whether it was Telfaz Hadashar, the Saudis I met in my life. They would come to the UK. Imagine, a guy who's just come from a small village comes to the UK and he's going to study a master's or he's going to do a doctorate. He's now going to learn that language, become more than proficient in the language. All the different kind of complex systems we have, they had a way around it or learn it, or that it was like, these people are just, nothing will stop them. Then came Mohammed bin Salman. To be honest, when Mohammed bin Salman came, I think it was obvious to everybody, anyone who was following and paying attention, what was going to happen in this country.
Okay.
To see the changes made, people would always doubt. I remember like there was talks about privatization of part of Aramco, and they were like, all the economists, they were like, oh, this isn't going to work, and if it fails, this and that. In a few years, what did we see? We saw a growth of 150%.
Yeah.
150%.
Yeah, that's like unprecedented.
Yeah. I remember not long ago, people doubting the line. And then suddenly they saw the trucks going in and the line being built.
Mhm.
They shut them up.
Yeah.
You know, and what I saw with Telfaz Hadash, I see this with the leadership. I see this with the people of Saudi Arabia. Doesn't matter. We're going to do it. We don't care what you say. We don't
Okay.
care if you doubt us. Okay, we are going to succeed,
Yeah.
and they're going to do it right. You know, I see the changes that are being made here. I see
Okay.
the focus on the important things. I see, you know, the preservation of culture and heritage and the investment in it as well.
Yeah.
When you look at the projects which are happening now, you know, you have Neom. Neom is going to be what, a $500 billion city and project, and the technology and AI and everything that's going into it.
Yeah.
You know, when they started, no one was really thinking about that.
Yeah.
There's in this country has had generations of visionaries. You know, you look at King Abdulaziz, he was a visionary.
Yeah.
We now have this with the king. We have this with the crown prince. It's something that when you come here and when you get into the culture and you know the people and you see what's happening, it's something that just becomes absolutely obvious to anyone. Like
Okay.
you mentioned, anyone that comes on this show,
Yeah.
when you speak to, they
has-
say the same thing.
They have that. If you, I mean, they don't say the same thing, but they have that. They all have that same. If you build it, they will come mentality. It doesn't have to be an existing sector or infrastructure or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like don't get me wrong. Like there are going to be challenges.
Yeah, of course.
We have a way to go, but it's happening.
Mhm.
It's happening, and the things that are happening, are fantastic. You know, it's anyone who comes, go to Dir'iyah, see what they've done.
Yeah.
Go to Al-Ula.
Yeah. What do you like about Dir'iyah? You know, since you're in, you know, in Riyadh, and Dir'iyah is you know, within Riyadh's parameters.
So Dir'iyah is one of my favorite places in Riyadh.
Yeah.
It was somewhere that before my first visit to Saudi Arabia, which was in the end of 2022, December 22. I literally I dreamt about visiting. It's the jewel of the kingdom. It's the place of the Al Saud family, Al Saud who created this country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, I on social media, I used to watch the videos and see the pictures, and I want to visit the museums. Like it was literally a dream. So much to the extent that the first time that I came, I woke up super early, and I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
With excitement to go visit Dir'iyah. I spoke to my friends. No one answered. Well, I didn't speak to them. I tried calling them.
Yeah.
No one answered. I'm like, I'm not waiting for them to wake up. I'm getting a taxi and I'm going there now.
Okay.
And I spent the entire day until like after sunset, just wandering around and taking it in. You know, Dir'iyah is such an important place. You know, especially Hayat Tarif. You know, they call Dir'iyah. The reason why is because it's the ancestral place of the first person from the Al Saud family. So you have Mana al-Muraidi, and his cousin Ibn Dara from the Dir'ah section of Bani Hanifa.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why they called it Dir'iyah. And when they came, they settled, and the founding of the kingdom, you know, is from here. So historically, it's so interesting. It's an absolutely beautiful place to go, even if you just want to walk around.
Yeah,
it's there's this amazing tranquility that you feel when you're there. You feel like you're diving into history. You're going to those early days when the kingdom was born. It's you know, until this day, I was there yesterday. Until this day, it's absolutely my favorite place in Riyadh. For just so many reasons.
All right.
Yeah.
And so you know, you've experienced a lot about the Saudi culture, hospitality. You've you know, had a lot of social interactions. Your wife's Saudi.
Yes.
So what do you think sets basically Saudi hospitality apart, and how did it influence you? What nice key takeaways and memories do you have about just the Saudi hospitality?
So many, whether it's outside the kingdom or inside. I remember when I was in Nottingham, so we had the old. So in every city you have something which is called the Nadi Saudi, so it's the Saudi club for the students.
Yeah.
I remember in Nottingham when I first met the president of the Saudi club. We're in my friend's apartment. The first thing he said to me when he met me, he was like, "John, His name's Asim al-Rashid. And he met me. He said to me, he's like, John, you're one of us. If you go to this cafe, the Saudi club, we have a discount there. So you go there.
You get the discount.
You get the discount.
Right. The John bin London discount.
Yeah. But it was the thing of like, you're one of us. We get a discount. You get a discount there.
Yeah.
That kind of acceptance and inclusion. Now, even during Ramadan, I drove from Dawadimi to Yamba. It's a 10-hour drive. I went there to go visit one of my friends, Abu Kayan. He's one of the closest people to me, Abdurrahman Jehni.
You can say hi to them if you want.
So I drove there,
Mhm.
and I was visiting him, and later on I went to Yamba al-Bahr, and then I was going back to Yamba al-Nakhal.
Okay.
When on the way there, I'm going through Yamba al-Nakhal. I decided to stop the car and take some pictures. I stopped the car, and a really, really old guy, he pulled over on the other side of the road.
All right.
Okay, got out of his car. So, he's waving at me, and he comes over, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm sure this guy doesn't know me from social media, but I thought, okay, maybe he's a relative of Abu Kayan, and he's, sort of pictures and he wants
When we
to
saw
come
you
say hi.
like that, you wouldn't even think you're on social media. Like that.
Yeah. So, but he came over, he was there like, Asa Mashar, like, I hope everything's okay, and I'm like, yeah, like, he was there like, you're okay, like, do you need anything? Do you have a problem with your car? Whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm just, it's really beautiful. I'm just taking pictures. And he's there like, are you sure? You need anything? That, like, the guy doesn't know me. He has no idea who I am.
Okay.
He doesn't know that I'm from the UK. He has zero idea. But he saw someone who he thought may have a problem with his car or something. So he came, stopped his car, goes through traffic, walks over. And then when I'm like, no, I'm fine. He's there like, said to me, okay, but you'll come and you'll have dinner with us tonight. And I'm like, I'm actually on my way back to Dawadimi now, but like, no, come have iftar with us. This is something like, it's a small interaction, but it'll stay with me forever. There are so many.
Okay.
You've
given us a snapshot, but like I get people get the gist of what you're.
There's another thing, like, because and it's about the acceptance of people. We mentioned my wife's Saudi, so we did some celebrations in the UK with my family, and then we did some celebrations here. Now I have my friend Abu Sati, Dr. Stam Rawais.
Okay.
This guy, he is my brother.
Yeah.
He even looks a little bit English too.
Okay.
So
give him a shout out.
Yeah,
I'm giving you an opportunity.
Well,
to
he'll be happy.
Yeah.
So, but so like, he has his brothers. Now his brothers, they're all older than him.
All right.
Except for one.
Okay.
But they're and these guys have become like my family here. They like, I consider them to be brothers. Even like his eldest brother Abu Muhammad Naif. He really is like, they're just amazing. Now when I got married, I did the wedding here. Like, they came, like they came from Dawadimi to Qasim as my family.
Okay.
Which is something that, like, it's not something simple. It's not something that, like, people who they don't like, people who like, they look at me as being one of them.
Yeah.
So we're coming and we're representing John as his family here in Saudi Arabia. It's something which, obviously for me, that really means a lot. That means everything.
Okay.
Especially such an important day. But honestly, there are just so many times where I've met people here, and the level of just acceptance and kindness. And I don't just mean like kindness when it comes to generosity of, inviting you for dinner and these things. I'm talking about acceptance and kindness and generosity in the way that they treat you.
Okay.
The dignity.
Yeah.
Here in Saudi Arabia, I meet people from all different walks of life. I have my friends who they drive Uber.
Yeah.
I have friends who are in social media, who are famous or whatever. I was with Faisal Maliki.
Okay.
There is no feeling of this person thinks he's better than you, or he looks at you as being less.
Yeah.
He sits and talks and jokes with you. You're one of the guys. This is something
Pretty flat social status.
It's
type of hierarchy. Right?
Yeah, it's
the same.
Like, yeah, everybody's the same. It's one of the things, like, I love wearing a thobe and a shamar for multiple different reasons. One, It's comfy.
Okay.
Secondly, I think it looks fantastic. You
Okay.
look smart, respectful. It's suitable for so many different occasions, whether I'm going to the supermarket or we have, a formal dinner.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things of like, we're all just the same. We're all
Okay.
wearing the same. We all look the same. Everybody's treating everybody the same.
Mhm.
Which I guess it's more the philosophical idea behind it.
All right.
But yeah, it's just it's what can I say? It's
It's
an amazing place. Like,
speechless.
yeah, yeah.
All right. I mean, okay. So we've talked about hospitality, generosity. Your experiences from a social perspective. Before we move on to other things, what's your favorite Saudi food?
Oh, oh,
I love asking
too
this.
many,
Too many.
too many.
Yeah, are you
Like
Jarish? Are you a Jarish kind of guy or a
everything.
Kebsa?
Kebsa,
Yeah.
kebsa,
Every house makes
lah,
their own Kebsa, right?
and as well, like hanid.
Yeah.
To be
Hanid is
honest,
good.
every area like has like they have their different food or whatever. But
Yeah.
like Junub in the south,
Mhm.
they're amazing. Like
Yeah.
I still haven't been to the south, but I've had a lot of like kind of southern dishes.
Oh, when you go there, it's on a different level.
But like everywhere I go, like kebsa.
Mhm.
I eat quite a lot of lehem hashi, so camel meat.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm in Dua to me. Oh, it's always like pretty much most meals.
Yeah.
We eat hashi. I love mendi, kabsa, jirish, girsan, mergouk.
Okay.
In Najran, they have something that's kind of similar to girsan. It's called daragsh.
Okay. All right. I mean, you
It's
tried some things
in
I haven't tried yet.
or you have to. And in the north, so if you go to Hayel,
Yeah.
they have a dish. It's called kebaba.
Yeah, I've had that. Okay. That's cool.
It's so hard to stay in shape here. It's
Yeah?
so hard. Like
Gotta-
it's with the hospitality and the food.
You got to work it off, huh?
Yeah,
Every day.
I've literally like just got a gym membership and
Right.
I'm trying to work off.
Okay. I mean, so aside from culture, food, social interactions and all that, you spend. You're an advent fan of Saudi fashion, and you like to support
Yes.
local brands.
Yes.
So how do you feel about like the intersection of fashion here, especially with a lot of local brands bringing in old meeting new, culture and heritage meeting modern, and just Saudi talent, burgeoning Saudi talent within the industry.
So yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Saudi art, Saudi fashion, Saudi art. I love to see how there is that immersion and that kind of intersection between. I love to see how we're going to do this, but we're going to do it our way. I love to see, I was so there's a fashion brand called Not Boring,
Yeah.
which I've been a fan of for really quite some time. Even when I was back in the UK, I used to order their T-shirts and clothing, wear it, and it's in the UK.
All right.
And the other day, so I was actually in Diriyah, and the guy he's the founder of the brand actually stopped me. He was like, just wanted to say hi, like thanks for the support. Like you always tag us on social media and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, like you guys are amazing. Like I really really love the brand. It's I remember saying to some of my friends, they were like but it's so expensive. Why should I, spend this much on a t-shirt that I can go buy this international brand? I'm like, because the international brand is a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
It has nothing which is unique, just a logo on it.
Mhm.
A lot of the time, these Saudi
It's just
brands,
something made in China with a
yeah,
logo,
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
an inflated price, right?
rubbish, absolute rubbish. I'm like, this Saudi brand, okay, one, we're supporting Saudi and we're supporting people who had the gumption to go out and start a business and to put themselves out there.
Yeah.
And we're supporting local creators and artists. And what they're doing is amazing. Like I don't
Mhm.
buy something if I don't like it. Like I buy it because I genuinely like it.
Okay.
So I'm willing to spend that money.
So aside from the support, is something that appeals.
Yeah, I
to you,
genuinely like.
basically.
Like I'm not going to go off and just buy something purely just for the support. I'm going to buy it because I like it.
Yeah.
And I see that their stuff it's genuinely good. It's genuine like my favorite t-shirts that I currently own
Mhm.
are from Not Boring,
Yeah.
from a Saudi brand. And there are many other brands. I got some sunglasses from Camel Line. There are other Saudi brands that I brought from. But like I love the idea that these guys are setting up brands, they're setting up businesses,
Hmm.
they're also doing collab work with other artists. There was a brand I bought from there. They've done a collaboration with a Saudi artist called Sunshine.
All right.
I love that. We're getting to support that. I used to, when I was in London, I remember in 2013 I was going to art exhibitions called Edge of Arabia, and they're featuring Saudi artists there.
Hmm.
I think it's fantastic to see. I think that the Saudi art scene
Okay.
is booming. I think that like it has so much potential, and you'll find it in places which you wouldn't expect.
Okay.
Douadimi, for example.
All right.
Douadimi, you have like some of the best sculptures in the kingdom. Or
Okay.
from Douadimi, you have Talal al-Takhais, Ali al-Takhais, Ahmed al-Laim. You have just these amazing people. They have their art foundation there as well.
Okay.
All artists, all from Douadimi. I remember the first time going there, just being absolutely gobsmacked.
Okay.
The level of work. So if I were to go to an art gallery in Europe, if I saw that work hanging there, it would not be out of place.
Okay.
Whoever thinks of Douadimi and this level of art, but it's there. There's so much talent in this country. Like I mentioned, Telfaz Hadashar. This goes under part of the the title of art, and then when it and the Saudi fashion brands. You have was it something like 100 Saudi fashion brands or Saudi artists were like
over.
Paris Fashion Week or something.
Yeah.
It's a country of just so much talent, and I think we're only starting to see it.
Yeah.
It's really coming out.
It's only the beginning.
It's the beginning.
Yeah, there's bigger and better things to come.
Bigger and better things, and I'm loving that we're seeing it on a global stage. I know I keep going back to like Telfaz Hadashir, but just seeing, for these guys starting on YouTube,
All right.
and now, they're on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
they're in the cinema.
Yeah.
I went to the premiere of Mdoub Al in
Yeah.
London.
Okay.
See these guys, guys I was following on YouTube all those years ago, seeing them in London.
All right.
We now have like the Red Sea Festival.
Mm-hmm.
It's
hard to fathom how things have progressed.
how they progressed, but they really deserve it.
Yeah.
Everything that's really happened, like they deserve it. They didn't get there just it was through
Some
hard
hard
work.
work, dedication.
Yeah, and being good, just
Yeah.
being the best, and we're seeing that paying off. We're seeing that recognition, and I think something that I really want to see. I want to see these guys that worked hard. I want to see that recognition.
All right.
I want to see Saudi art, Saudi film, Saudi clothing, just on more of an international level.
All right.
And we're really starting to see that. And I think with the clothing brands, I think we're going to see that more and more and more. So yeah,
That's cool.
and I can't wait.
All right, that's interesting. I mean, I can sit and talk to you about Tilfaz, Kabsa, and fashion, but we're
Yeah.
almost out of time, and I always have to ask my guests before I wrap up any interview is if you have a personal message to the audience who are watching, listening, reading.
I think my message just come. Just people have heard lots of things about Saudi Arabia and have these preconceived ideas. I can tell you that like pretty much all of them are wrong.
Yeah.
I think that like it's one of those places like come and see it for yourself. Come and really see and experience it. Like Saudi Arabia, like I've mentioned, for me, I believe it's the future. But also just come. Like we always think that, especially in the UK, that we're kind of so open and ready to accept other places and cultures and that. Come to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Come and see it. Like yeah.
Come and
Don't-
see it for yourself and
yeah.
try it, and then make a decision.
If you don't want to believe me,
Yeah.
just
Try it for
come.
yourself.
Yeah, try it for yourself. Come.
All right. I mean, that's always some good advice, and I'd like to thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you
We
for
can
having me.
sit and chat for hours.
Yeah.
But I do believe you've made me hungry, and as soon as we turn off those cameras, I'm off to get some kapsa.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. To be honest, that's probably what I'm going to do. Instead of going to the gym.
All right, I think okay, we can share a plate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anyways, that's all the time we have for this episode. Tune in to the one and only Mayman Show. See you later.